All right, hello. My name is Austin,
So I have this weird book sticking out of my anus.
and this is Ben. And what was that?
Found this book in my stool the other day.
Yeah. Is this the same book that we found in Grandpa Jeremy's attic?
I did sample its flavors. It's a bit old.
Well,
It's a bit smoky.
I just don't you remember that discussion we had that we were gonna start a podcast about all the stories inside of it?
I was under the impression that you were, in some way, shape, or form, hinting at using the book as materials to make awesome marijuana cigarettes with.
Okay. Well, you ate it. So regardless,
That leads me to my next confession. I don't know how pot works.
okay. Well, it's a good thing that I photocopied the book beforehand because today, and I don't know if you introduced yourself.
Steve.
This is Ben. And we found this book in a Grandpa Jeremy. Get out! Get out!
Get out!
Get out!
You've ruined it!
You ruined it!
The illusion is dead!
We're not editing this out!
The illusion is dead!
What illusion?
Sorry. Are you making your podcast?
Look what you did to
I
our
am not
sound
Steve
levels.
anymore!
Look what you're doing to the sound level.
Woo!
Me?
Yeah.
No,
I'm pretty sure that's
Your reaction, this is my reaction to you walking in and telling me that my derelict bird needs to be put to bed.
Well, Marissa's gonna have a fit.
Put to bed?
I'm sure she will.
Like in the euphemistic way?
Yes, we're euthanizing this bird tonight. Podcast listeners, do not take that seriously. Excuse me?
Like a lot.
Ew, these are probably stale.
Yeah, go ahead and try some, Whitney.
They're probably fresh. Fresh to death.
You're gonna have to pick it up when it falls on the floor. Just kidding, it's full of old candy.
Ew.
I'm like an old person.
He is an old person.
Have a butterscotch.
This should be a video podcast.
What's a chime?
What's it?
Ginger chew.
Oh,
Ew.
Please have one. You'll enjoy it very
Ew,
much.
you are like an old
Have two.
It's organic ginger candy.
The more
I found in the discount section at Wegmans.
Did you really?
Yeah. It came in a really cool tin. That's really the only reason why I bought it.
You're a freak.
Finish your podcast
It's-
and put the gum on.
Yeah, I got here with me.
Yeah.
Alright, so we're in Grandpa Jeremy's attic the other day, just rooting around like we do, you know. And we found this book filled with like all these super great cautionary tales. Excuse my like lispy voice right now. I have a Jolly Rancher in my mouth. But the first story we're going to examine today
Can
is
we just
go ahead.
tangent cats.
Yeah.
Can we, instead of calling them Jolly Ranchers for copyright's sake, just call them like Happy Cowboys?
I actually called it a Jolly Rancher for just that reason, and now we have to delete this podcast because you said Jolly Rancher.
You go into it, like, I have a dandy cowboy in my mouth. I have a dandy farmer in my mouth.
Ben, now we have to make this explicit, and that's because of you. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So the first story that we're gonna do is it's about a young boy who gets in a funny situation, and
Yeah. I saw this when I was messing around with the book.
yeah,
It's a pretty gruesome tale when you really get down to it.
gruesome. I don't know. I think it has merit regardless, and we're just gonna take a look at it. Okay, so the way we're going to do this is I'm going to read the story, and just feel free to interject with any thoughts or feelings
Okay.
that you might have.
Yes, sir.
All right. I can't really read the title of this one, but it starts, Egward Orwell Johnston was a boy of 8, too young to understand the complexities of this world. He partook in the all too familiar games of youth such as stone toss and stick chase. No more than a mere child, Egward has a loving mother, a stern but proud father, and a home to return to after a day of boyhood adventures. Most importantly, Egward has his health. He was a spry young boy with lungs that breathed fresh air and ligaments that spun energetically in their rotator cuffs. He had a very living body indeed, which he knew would never come to any harm. Outside of their small town of Frigashire, which Egward and his family called home, there was a great and ever-looming wall. This wall stood hundreds of feet high and was made up of large rocks and boulders held loosely together with mortar. No one really knew why the wall was there or what purpose it had served, but it had stood as long as anyone could remember. Ever since the first brick was laid upon the first road in Frigashire, it was known and respected that no one should ever go near the wall. In this instance, respected is a loose term in that several Frigashirians have not only approached the wall, but have even been so foolish as to climb it. The ends of these misguided men and women were very much expected. The surety of their demise was so much so that the local carpenters would immediately set about making coffins when they heard that a new batch of fools was about to attempt the feat.
Just like to interject here. How cocky do you have to be that if you see someone walking up a very dangerous path, you're just like, bring in another one!
And another what?
Coffin.
Another coffin? I like, that's just like good business acumen, you know? It's like Target, for instance, they like have all these sources and they stalk you basically. It's to the point where like, did you hear about that one girl that like received coupons for like diapers and cribs, and the father was like, "What the hell is this? Like, my daughter's not pregnant. We don't have like a kid." And then like it turned out she was pregnant, and they knew from like the various things she was buying.
Ooh, that's pretty eerie, actually.
So that's like this.
So basically,
It's just reading the market, you know?
I really wouldn't say that these. Okay, let me retract that. That remark about the coffin makers, and just stick that sticker right on top of Target's advertising campaign.
So you're saying is fuck Target?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so fuck Target.
Thank God Target is not a endorsed company in Frigashire.
No. All right, so let's continue. Where were we? All right. While these were by no means joyous occasions, they certainly were profitable ones. So Egward decided to climb the wall. It wasn't too difficult a hike. There were plenty of ledges and places where the rock had crumbled from age, which provided perfect hand and footholds for an 8-year-old boy. On his way up, he encountered 3 strange travelers, the first of which was a baker. "Young sir," he yelled out, with a look of bewilderment. Egward glanced at the weary man. "This path is too dangerous for young boys as yourself. Turn back now, please." After this, however, he immediately turned back to the road ahead of him. The good townsman continued to shout words of warning through shallow breaths, but our hero paid him no mind. Continuing on, Egward was greeted by the cries of a teary-eyed beggar. "Child, wait!" the vagrant maid gasped. She pleaded with the small boy, but whatever reason had brought him this far up the wall was not worth the price of his life. Yet her tear-filled expression had no effect, and her heartfelt warnings fell upon deaf ears. Egward smiled merrily as he proceeded onward towards the summit of his journey. Do you think that here the author meant that Egward was deaf?
I don't know. What's up with that?
What?
I think from a outsider's perspective, when you are at a certain age, such as this child is, Egward, you really have no intentions of listening to whatever any superior might say. You're kind of at that age where no matter what kind of warnings are given to you, you're going to look past them towards an ultimate goal of just...
So it's like he's cocky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a cocky little shit.
But, like, he says deaf ears. That means he can't hear.
It's also just an expression. It's fallen upon deaf ears. Never heard that expression?
Agree to disagree, I guess. All right. Upon the top of the wall, the boy stood, looking out upon all the land. "There's nothing for you here," stated a tired old knight standing nearby. "The king's men are the only ones permitted this far outside the town walls." Egward was enthralled by the shining armor the knight was clad in. He thought how nice it would be to have a suit as fine as that as he wandered away. Our hero continued to occupy his mind with boyish musings as he walked the length of the wall's top. The fact that he could neither see the start nor end of the great structure enthralled him. "I bet I could spend my whole..." Egward started to say to himself, but his words caught in his throat as he tripped over a loose stone and began to topple over. His eyes grew wider and wider as he began to accelerate downwards until finally his small, helpless body struck the hard, unforgiving earth.
Good God.
Tragic. That morning, it had been a Mr. Hastings' misfortune to have had a meeting with the sheriff in the next town over, and he was making the trek back to Frigashire, when he heard a small thud. He looked up from the neck of his horse where he had been sulking to see a spattering of red on the road ahead. Shocked, the man urged his horse to speed over to the scene to see what had transpired. Egward, if it is still fitting to call what was left after the fall by that name, lay scattered about the base of the wall. His pitiful body was positively shattered. No life was left at all in the shell that once housed the boy's spirit, but Mr. Hastings felt that he could save him. He gathered what remnants he could find of the boy and lay in the dirt and assembled them underneath the shade of a tall birch tree. Bits and pieces of the child's mangled corpse laid in a pile, with little resemblance of what used to be an innocent young child. Hastings gathered a handful of dirt and rubbed it in between his palms with a bit of spit and sweat that he had accumulated upon his brow throughout the day. He used these ingredients and created a mud paste, with which he fashioned the boy anew. Proud of what he had done, Hastings proceeded to pat Egward on the head, swing himself onto his horse, and ride back into Frigashire. As he began his trip, he turned back to say, "Now you stay out of trouble, young man." Egward said nothing, for he was dead.
Who's this Hastings guy?
I don't know. It says he was on the path back to Frigashire from.
He was just in the way, heard a thud, saw a dead kid. It's like, I can make something out of this.
Yeah, he was doing his civic duty.
His civic duty?
Yeah.
Does it tell anything of what his position is? Is he just like a human being who's like, I'm gonna help out in this situation? Or is he like some kind of cop or something?
I don't know.
He was with the sheriff. So
he was meeting with the sheriff. That maybe he was, like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe
seems like a troublemaker.
Oh.
I mean, from the actions that he just partook in with fixing a boy anew with mud, sweat, and spit. It's I'm really at a loss for words at this point.
Yeah, you continue to talk. I don't know, man. It's a different time. It's a fairy tale. Come on. All right. As Hastings rode through the town gates, he was disturbed to hear people screaming and pointing at him. He never considered himself particularly attractive, but this was just uncalled for. The thought had hardly entered his head before he found himself being dragged off his horse by a couple of soldiers. "What is the meaning of this?" shouted Hastings as he was wrestled to the ground. "I haven't committed any crimes." The two men simply ignored his pleas and hauled him off to the local jail. "Stay here while we figure all this out," spat the fatter of the two soldiers as he kicked the door of the holding cell shut. Hastings began to sob, letting the tears fill his eyes and stream down his face. He sat that way for hours, leaning on the stone wall and feeling sorry for himself. When he finally got a hold of himself and went to wipe away the tears with his sleeve, he found his face growing wetter. For the first time after saving Egward, he looked at his clothes and saw his sleeves soaked in blood. The soldiers needed not ride a few minutes out of town to find the unsettling remains of the missing child. The humanoid figure sat beneath the tree under which Hastings had fashioned the macabre creature. Twigs and dead branches jutted out of holes sealed with dried dirt and blood, holding the corpse in place. The guards, taken aback and disgust, collected themselves and placed a blanket of dead leaves over the body, so as to hide its existence from the rest of the world.
Whew.
There's a moral here, actually, too.
Is there?
Mm-hmm.
What's it say?
It is possible for one to be fatally stupid.
Do you agree or?
Can I smell your old candy?
Jesus Christ, Whitney!
Again!
What old candy do you want?
I don't
She
know.
wants the ginger.
You want the ginger snaps?
You have to eat a ginger.
Yeah.
Ew, no.
I had one. That's
Yeah.
why I'm allowed to have the candy.
Yeah.
No, you didn't.
You
I
have
did.
to earn it.
Hand to God, I had one.
He did.
Oh, I guess you're not lying since we're all gone. Ew, what are these?
Nothing that you can have until you've put that ginger candy in your mouth.
I don't even think there's any.
Put it in your mouth.
I'll find you one.
Yeah. Let
Is
Austin.
that
have-
Laffy Taffy?
No.
Oh no, I found one.
Here you go.
It's fate.
No.
Eat it.
Here's the lid. Aren't these supposed to be like ew,
Good
is it
for
kinda
you.
Like for your stomach when you feel sick.
I don't know.
So now that you don't feel sick, you'll feel awesome after you one.
Yeah.
That's why I take tons of medicine every morning for like.
Things I don't have.
Yeah. It betters me as a person, I think. What a trooper.
Tell me when it starts to burn your mouth.
Wait, go burn my mouth. It tastes gross.
Uh-huh.
It's chilly. Oh.
Yeah. You think it would taste sweet like ginger ale, but it doesn't.
Like Ginger Dale. Remember, Ben. Here you go. Those are Smarties bubblegum.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, it hurt my throat. This is the shit that comes with my sushi all the time. I wish
Well, that's
it wouldn't.
wasabi.
No,
Yeah.
ginger sauce comes with sushi.
Oh, does it? I was thinking of wasabi. You're getting pretty,
Pretty greedy.
pretty,
there.
yeah, pretty greedy with my candy.
Is this empty?
It's this empty. I think it's.
What? No, it's not.
She wants
Put
to-
it down.
Let's just spit her ginger candy into there.
I have one caramel candy and one champagne candy left, and I am not going to share them with you.
I never got a champagne candy.
What's
Go
a
down to
champagne
Southside Candy and get one.
No.
It is a truffle with a sweet, gooey filling that is mixed with chocolate and champagne on the
Can I have your
inside.
Jim's water?
You just put this in your mouth.
We're not pee in here.
Why would we have a water bottle of pee on my desk?
Just at hand.
Did we foresee this event? And we were just like, we're gonna prank Whitney with a water bottle full of piss.
I'll ruin my water bottle forever. All right. So what were we saying?
I don't know.
We were talking about the moral.
Oh yeah. I don't know if I'd go as far to say that. Excuse me, one moment. Whitney, get out of my room! You've overstayed your welcome. You're sitting there with your jaw agape, chewing on hard candy.
Can I sit in here and draw?
Yeah, sure.
This is what Whitney does when she's in my room.
She ruins everything.
No, she draws in the corner.
Oh, with that specifically?
Yeah, literally just sit back here and just draw.
That's nice.
And then she shows me the picture she draws. I'm like, very good, Whitney!
Good job. Okay. So what were you saying, Ben? About the moral?
I don't know, something about a kid not being
Oh,
stupid.
these
or
are all
something.
really good.
Okay. All right. Well.
I'm working on something new now.
Okay. Are we done?
Yeah. The end! Wait,
All right. That was our closing theme song. We'll try to do this on a semi-regular basis.
Yeah.
Whatever that means, we'll know.
Don't get too attached, folks.
No. Ben is a fleeting star and is apt to shoot away into different galaxies.
Yeah.
So.
What I do.
Well, thank you for listening.